Welcome to 𝗣𝗿𝗲𝘀𝗧. I am Leanna Haakons, joined by Sheila Warren. She is the CEO of CCI. Welcome.
Thanks, Leanna. It's great to be here.
So Sheila, I would love if you could tell us a little bit about the council. You work on educating regulators, policymakers, just a bit of background on it in general, and what some of your initiatives are here this week.
Thanks for asking. So we are a global alliance of industry leaders focused on evidence-based advocacy. So basically, we're trying to enact sound policy all around the world, recognizing that crypto does not recognize borders. So how do we create a comprehensive strategy to make sure we can embed crypto everywhere around the world so everyone can take advantage of its benefits? Here at the conference, I'm focusing on meeting with lots of people, connecting with everyone working in policy, product, making sure that we can reflect the cutting edge of this innovation to those who are enacting policy that will affect our space.
And how do you educate people on the information, the developments in a space that really does move so quickly? I mean, it must be a lot for you to keep up with as a council.
It really is. And part of it's acknowledging that, recognizing that the pace of innovation is always going to outstrip policy. There's no way policy will keep up. So what we need is more flexible regulation that can accommodate the future we're all trying to build. So I try to paint a vision of that future for folks to say, here's where we are today. We have systems that are not working for a lot of people. We have barriers to entry. We can build a better world. And imagine what that might look like and what can we do to get us there?
And so how can we realistically do that when obviously the regulation piece is something that's holding back a lot of people from really adopting the space? How do you envision that and sort of portray that to people?
Yeah, well, we want regulators to understand that part of the reason that we're seeing certain kinds of builds happen more than others, those that mirror a bit more traditional finance or TradFi, are because of the regulatory uncertainty. And if we want to unlock the true capacity and potential of this innovation, we're going to have to allow for people to innovate. We simply have to be accepting and supportive of an innovation economy. So I think we're seeing some jurisdictions embrace the self-perception of themselves as an innovation economy. The Bahamas is a fantastic example, where others really don't want to be at that cutting edge. And so understanding as an industry, where are those maybe those who are holding back a bit or those who are really pressing forward is going to help us understand where we might locate some of this innovation around the world.
And how do you envision the next 2 years, let's say? I think there'll be a lot of movement in the regulatory space in crypto in the next 2 years. You probably do as well. How can we, I hate to ask you for that type of timeline, but what do you think, what can we see in the next couple of years that's really going to move this forward?
Well, I think what we're seeing right now that will be reflected in a couple of years' time is just massive need for education. So we're at a point now where we're almost tipping. So before, if you knew about crypto, it was kind of like a little suspicious, like, why are you so into that space? Now, if you're a regulator who doesn't understand this, you're almost a little embarrassed about it. So we're trying to find people and say, it's okay, we can give you a 101, a 201, a 301, and carry you through understanding what this is about, why it's so exciting, why it's so important, and why as an industry, it's really starting to arrive. This is something we all have to take very seriously. So I think that push for a demand side draw for education is going to really help us catapult and propel good, responsible regulation in this space. And that's certainly the hope.
Yeah, and I believe that the education piece will help transform the regulatory side to make this a real long-term viable space.
Yeah, and that's the goal. But I also think we have to be responsive as an industry and recognize that we have to educate folks about what they want to know. So listening a lot, I tell my kids, listening ears, right? Like listening a lot, like what is it that we're hearing? What are concerns that are addressed? Are they legitimate or maybe they're just made out of myth? But if they are legitimate or have legitimacy, let's figure out what evidence we can bring to bear. We have so much data and information now in this space. We didn't have that 5 years ago. We have records, we have use cases. We can demonstrate and prove that a lot of the things we've been saying for a while have come true, are true now, and will continue to be true, particularly if we have an enabling environment of regulation that propels this forward.
Well, we're grateful for your insights on a space, and obviously the regulatory discussion is so prominent here at 𝗣𝗿𝗀𝗀𝘀𝗧, so we really appreciate your insights this week.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.